Welcome to the Daily Jing for Wednesday, March 27th. Let's look at the schedule. We're in the 8th week. This is Wednesday of the 8th week. We're still discussing Ofri. Friday, the familiar essay rough draft is due, or finally due by Monday at 6 a.m. And we're finishing up Ofri on Friday, or the last postings for the View and Do 3.3 and for the discussion are due by Monday also at 6 a.m. Let's talk a minute about how I excuse me, how I read your papers and what I'm looking for when I read them. I'm particularly interested in voice and scene. So, what sort of reader is your instructor? You might have gotten some taste for how I read your papers by looking at my comments so far. I would like to explain more fully my MO when it comes to reading your papers. It's important for you to get me into your paper from the very beginning. I read a lot of papers, and if your writing does not engage me from the beginning, then you will have lost me, and you don't want to lose me. Two things get me into your paper and get me engaged. One is if you set a scene on the very first page, and two, that you establish your voice. Let's start with voice. The familiar essay requires you to be front and center within the I perspective. It's not that you want to write as if you are talking to the reader, but that you are thinking out loud in the reader's presence. We want to hear what is going on in your mind, and by this we hope to learn who you are and what sort of problem you are dealing with. When we see a living, breathing person from the beginning of the paper, we are hooked. You cannot be dispassionate about your world, and you cannot step back and look at it from a distance. That is why the scene is so important. The writer's voice gets transmitted the best within a physical scene where he or she is working with ideas in the midst of a self-constructed world and with those others that populate that world. That means that the reader has to see the writer's world from the very first sentence, and we have to see those who are involved with the writer in that world, and we have to see the writer doing things within the world. We have to see him or her talking to others, and we have to see them talking back. Also, things have to happen that the writer must react to and think about. A writer has to bring in outside information to act on and to react to. The scene that is set up on the first page has to go on to other dynamic scenes where the writer's character is seen to be working out some problem. The problem is of vital importance, and the use of voice and scene are the two ways that the problem and all its possible solutions get played out. So give your reader, me and your peers, a voice and a scene from the very beginning of your paper so that we can participate with you in the journey of discovery that is the familiar essay. So the question of the day is, when is the OFRI discussion due? It's due on Friday or finally due by Monday at 6 a.m. Okay? All right, thanks.